The black woman entered the courthouse like any other morning. Officers Rick Donnelly and Brent Carnes thought they knew exactly what they saw, another powerless body to control. With sneers and false authority, they dragged her into a back room, cuffed her, and shaved her hair, laughing as clumps fell to the floor. What they didn't know was that the woman they just brutalized was the presiding judge on their misconduct case. Judge Claudia Hayes had walked to the courthouse that morning, preparing for a critical police misconduct hearing. At the metal detector, Deputy Wallace called over Donnelly and Carnes. "Ma'am, we need you to come with us," Carnes said. "You match a description. There must be some mistake." "I'm Judge Hayes," Claudia replied, reaching for her badge. "Sure you are." Donnelly sneered, snatching it. "That badge is fake." He handcuffed her as courthouse staff watched in fear, too afraid to intervene in the security room. Rick returned with electric clippers. "You know what they do in prison? They take away everything that makes you feel special. Your hair. This won't end well for you," Claudia said steadily. "Nobody's going to believe you over 3 respected officers," Brent replied, gripping her shoulders as Rick began shaving her head in jagged patches. They laughed and took photos while Wallace watched from the door. Claudia focused on breathing, thinking of every victim who'd sought justice in her courtroom. Each humiliating stroke only hardened her resolve. When they finished, she stood slowly, retrieved her badge from the floor, and walked toward the courtroom with measured steps. The packed courtroom gasped as Claudia entered, her bald head bearing angry red marks. Rick and Brent's smug expressions crumbled as recognition dawned, their faces draining of color. "Good morning," Claudia said calmly, donning her robe. "This is United States versus Officers Donnelly and Carnes on charges of civil rights violations. The defense requests an immediate sidebar." Their attorney pleaded. "Denied. Are you prepared to proceed?" Witnesses testified about systematic abuse, planted evidence, falsified reports, excessive force. Detective Alan Price testified about years of corruption, naming Chief Judge Whitaker and DA Denton in cover-ups. Rick exploded. "You're dead, Price. Remove Officer Donnelly and add witness intimidation to his charges," Claudia ordered. That night, media attacked Claudia as emotionally unstable. Protesters divided across her lawn. She stood before her mirror, tracing her scalp. They'd meant to break her, but had only given her evidence of their brutality. Detective Price was later attacked and hospitalized. A threatening photo arrived at Claudia's door. Marcus received a USB drive from courthouse clerk Lydia, complete footage of the assault. Chief Judge Whitaker had Lydia fired and evidence destroyed, but the drive was safe. FBI agents arrived, opening an investigation into systemic corruption. In court, Claudia played Lydia's unedited footage for all to see. The false arrest, the cruel shaving, their laughter. The gallery watched in horror. "Your job was to protect and serve justice," Claudia declared. "Instead, you chose cruelty, believing your badges would shield you from consequences." Special Agent Martinez announced, "The Department of Justice will investigate the courthouse, police department, and DA's office for civil rights violations." At sentencing, Claudia faced the 3 officers. "Deputy Wallace, you are sentenced to 8 years in federal prison, permanently barred from law enforcement. Officers Donnelly and Carnes, you showed no remorse. Richard Donnelly, 12 years. Brent Carnes, 15 years. Both permanently barred from law enforcement. Let today's sentences send a clear message. The law is not a shield for the powerful. It is a sword for the people. No badge grants immunity from justice." Weeks later, reforms transformed the courthouse. Civilian oversight boards, mandatory bias training, transparent complaint systems. The Hayes model spread to other districts. The president nominated Claudia as chief judge. Community leaders thanked her. "You turned personal humiliation into systemic change. The real work is just beginning," Claudia reminded them. She stood before her mirror, touching her deliberately shaved head. No longer a mark of shame, but a crown of defiance. Women across the community had shaved their heads in solidarity as she entered the courtroom. The atmosphere was transformed. No longer fear, but hope. Public defenders sat confidently. Officers stood respectfully. Civilian observers took notes from their official seats. All rise. The Honorable Judge Claudia Hayes presiding. Claudia lifted her gavel, no longer just a symbol of order maintained through force, but of justice served through truth and accountability. The day's session began. This time it would be real justice,